You probably remember the first time you earned what felt like real money. The number looked big on paper, larger than anything you had earned before. You told yourself this was it, the turning point where stress would finally ease. You imagined saving effortlessly, investing regularly, and feeling calm about money. But somehow, that calm never arrived, even as your income kept increasing. Your lifestyle improved slightly, yet the pressure followed you everywhere. Bills felt heavier, obligations multiplied, and your bank balance stayed fragile. It's confusing, frustrating, and quietly exhausting to experience this pattern repeatedly. You work harder, earn more, yet financial security remains strangely distant. This isn't because you're irresponsible, lazy, or incapable of managing money. It's because your salary is trapped inside a system designed to consume it. Most people never see this system clearly, which keeps them blaming themselves. They assume better budgeting, stricter discipline, or higher income will fix everything. Sometimes it helps temporarily, but the underlying problem never disappears. That's why raises often feel good briefly, then anxiety creeps back in. Your expenses quietly reorganize themselves around your new income level. Nothing dramatic happens, just subtle adjustments that feel reasonable individually. A slightly nicer apartment, a safer car, better insurance, more convenience. Each choice feels justified, even responsible, given your higher salary. Yet together, they recreate the same financial pressure at a higher level. This is the modern income illusion, and it affects nearly everyone. It's why doctors, engineers, managers, and professionals feel perpetually behind. It's why high earners still live paycheck to paycheck without understanding why. It's why financial advice often feels disconnected from real life. And it's why this video exists. Today, we're not discussing hustle culture, side hustles, or unrealistic shortcuts. We're breaking down the math and psychology behind why your salary stops feeling sufficient. You'll see exactly where your money goes before you can control it. You'll understand why traditional budgeting often fails under modern cost structures. And you'll learn practical ways to regain leverage without extreme sacrifices. This isn't about becoming rich overnight or optimizing every penny obsessively. It's about building financial breathing room in a system designed to remove it. If you've ever thought, I make decent money, so why do I feel broke? Stay. If you've ever wondered why saving feels harder every year, this matters. If you want your future income to actually change your life, keep watching. Before we continue, take a moment to participate because your experience matters here. Write a comment describing your biggest financial frustration right now. Is it housing, debt, saving, investing, or simply not feeling secure? Reading others' experiences helps normalize what most people suffer silently. If this topic already resonates, hit the like button so more people see it, and subscribe to Finn Explains Money if you want clear financial explanations without hype. Now, let's break down why your salary feels powerless against modern life.
The first problem is that income growth rarely matches cost structure growth. Your salary increases in steps, but your expenses grow continuously and relentlessly. Housing costs rise annually, regardless of your raises or job performance. Insurance premiums increase quietly, while coverage often becomes more restrictive. Healthcare costs grow faster than inflation, regardless of employer benefits. Transportation costs rise through maintenance, fuel, insurance, and depreciation. Even basic necessities quietly absorb a larger share of your income. This creates a treadmill effect, where earning more simply maintains position. You feel busy running, but your financial location barely changes. The second problem is fixed costs expanding faster than discretionary income. Fixed costs are expenses you cannot easily reduce without major life changes. Rent, mortgages, insurance, childcare, and debt payments dominate modern budgets. Once these costs are locked in, flexibility disappears almost completely. Your salary becomes pre-allocated before it even arrives. What remains feels too small to build meaningful progress. This creates a constant sense of insufficiency, regardless of income level. People respond by chasing higher salaries, thinking that's the solution. Sometimes it helps temporarily, but often it deepens the trap. Higher income qualifies you for higher obligations, not greater freedom. Banks, landlords, and lenders base approval on gross income, not resilience. They don't ask how fragile your situation becomes if income changes. They assume stability while quietly shifting risk entirely onto you. Another issue is monthly payment thinking replacing total cost awareness. Modern marketing trains people to focus on affordability, not ownership cost. A car isn't $15,000, it's $300 monthly. A house isn't $400,000, it's what you qualify for. This thinking hides long-term financial damage behind manageable monthly numbers. Your salary feels adequate monthly while silently failing long-term. Debt becomes normalized, not as emergency usage, but as lifestyle infrastructure. This makes your income feel busy, yet ineffective. Psychologically, this creates constant background stress without obvious causes. You're doing everything right, yet something feels fundamentally wrong. That feeling is your margin disappearing. Margin is the gap between income and obligations. Margin is what absorbs shocks, emergencies, and opportunities. Modern financial life systematically destroys margin. When margin disappears, salary becomes survival fuel, not progress capital. Every unexpected expense feels like a threat rather than an inconvenience. This keeps your nervous system in a permanent low-level panic state. Financial stress then reduces decision quality, creating reinforcing loops. You make short-term decisions because long-term thinking feels impossible. This isn't a personal failure, it's a predictable cognitive response. Scarcity narrows focus, even when income appears sufficient. That's why people with good salaries still feel financially insecure. They aren't poor, but they lack control. Control doesn't come from income alone. Control comes from optionality, flexibility, and liquidity. Without those, salary becomes a leash rather than a ladder. This is why modern budgeting apps often fail to deliver relief. They help track spending but don't change structural constraints. You see the problem clearly but lack tools to escape it. That frustration leads many to disengage entirely. Others double down on discipline, burning out eventually. Neither approach addresses the root issue. The real issue is that salary-based systems assume stability that doesn't exist. Jobs feel stable until suddenly they're not. Health feels reliable until it changes unexpectedly. Family obligations emerge without warning. The system expects uninterrupted income, but life rarely complies. This creates vulnerability disguised as success. From the outside, everything looks fine. Inside, anxiety builds quietly year after year. So what actually works instead? The first step is separating income growth from lifestyle expansion deliberately. This requires intentional resistance against socially normalized upgrades. Not because upgrades are evil, but because timing matters. You must decide which upgrades buy freedom versus permanent obligations. Freedom-enhancing expenses reduce future costs or increase flexibility. Obligation-enhancing expenses increase fixed monthly commitments indefinitely. Most people accidentally prioritize obligations because they feel immediate. Freedom feels abstract until it's gone. The second step is rebuilding margin before optimizing anything else. Emergency funds aren't boring, they're foundational leverage. They allow you to say no to bad options. They prevent small problems from becoming cascading disasters. Without margin, every decision is reactive. With margin, decisions become strategic. This changes how salary functions in your life. It stops being survival fuel and becomes a planning tool. The third step is redefining success away from visible consumption. Modern culture equates progress with upgrades others can see. True financial progress is often invisible and deeply boring. Lower stress, higher savings, fewer obligations rarely impress observers, but they compound quietly and powerfully over time. This requires mental reframing, not just math. You must stop measuring yourself against lifestyles and start measuring flexibility. Flexibility means fewer required expenses relative to income.
Flexibility means time options, career options, and location options. Flexibility is what income was supposed to provide originally. But without intention, income often does the opposite. It locks you deeper into systems requiring constant maintenance. That's why so many people feel trapped despite success. The final step is treating salary as a tool, not identity. When income defines self-worth, decisions become emotionally compromised. Fear of loss increases, risk tolerance decreases, and creativity collapses. Separating identity from income restores decision clarity. You can then choose paths that reduce dependency over time. This includes investing, skill development, and selective risk-taking. Not reckless risk, but calculated optionality-building moves. These moves don't always increase income immediately. They increase resilience, which eventually increases income quality. Quality matters more than quantity. A volatile high salary often produces more stress than moderate stable income. Stability plus margin beats volatility plus obligations every time. This is rarely taught explicitly. Most financial advice assumes income equals security automatically. Reality proves otherwise repeatedly. The goal isn't to make more money endlessly. The goal is to make money matter again. When salary actually improves your life, not just your obligations. When raises increase peace, not pressure. When income growth creates options instead of anxiety. That's what we're working toward here. And in the next block, we'll break down exactly how to restructure income behavior. We'll discuss practical systems for regaining control without extreme lifestyles. We'll cover timelines, trade-offs, and realistic expectations. And we'll show how ordinary people escape the salary suffocation trap, not through luck, but through structure.
Once you understand why salary alone doesn't create security, behavior must change deliberately. Most people keep repeating the same income patterns, expecting different outcomes eventually. That expectation quietly wastes years without producing meaningful financial relief. The solution isn't extreme frugality or rejecting modern life entirely. The solution is redesigning how income flows through your decisions. Start by redefining your baseline cost of survival realistically and honestly. This baseline includes housing, utilities, food, insurance, transportation, and healthcare essentials. Anything beyond that baseline must justify itself by increasing future flexibility. If an expense doesn't reduce stress or create options, question it aggressively. This mindset alone changes spending behavior dramatically without complex budgeting systems. Next, stop using gross income as a measure of financial capability. Gross income is impressive socially, but meaningless for personal stability. Net income matters more, but free cash flow matters most. Free cash flow is what remains after all fixed obligations are paid. That number determines whether your salary empowers or enslaves you. Many high earners discover their free cash flow is shockingly small. This realization is uncomfortable but necessary for progress. From there, focus on shrinking fixed costs before optimizing variable spending. Fixed costs are silent killers because they persist regardless of circumstances. Lowering them once produces permanent relief. Negotiating rent, downsizing housing, or relocating strategically can change everything. Transportation choices are another major leverage point most people underestimate. Cars consume income quietly through payments, insurance, repairs, and depreciation. Driving something reliable but unremarkable often unlocks thousands annually. Insurance deserves equal attention because overpaying is incredibly common. Many policies remain untouched for years despite life circumstances changing. Reshopping insurance regularly can free cash without lifestyle sacrifice. Debt requires ruthless prioritization because interest compounds against you relentlessly. High-interest debt cancels out most investment returns automatically. Paying it off isn't boring, it's mathematically dominant. Once fixed costs shrink, margin begins to appear naturally. Margin changes how problems feel emotionally. A broken appliance becomes inconvenient, not catastrophic. Medical bills become manageable, not paralyzing. Margin restores rational decision-making capacity.
With margin established, salary finally starts behaving as expected. Now, raises increase options instead of obligations. Now, income growth accelerates progress rather than maintaining pressure. This is where investing actually becomes effective. Investing without margin often increases anxiety rather than wealth. Market fluctuations feel threatening when cash reserves are weak. With margin, volatility becomes tolerable and even advantageous. Long-term investing requires emotional stability more than intelligence. That stability comes from knowing bills are covered regardless of market movement. Another crucial shift is abandoning timeline comparisons with others. Social media creates distorted perceptions of progress and success. You see highlights, not balance sheets. Many impressive lifestyles are financed through fragile structures. Comparing yourself to them encourages premature lifestyle expansion. That expansion often destroys future flexibility quietly. Instead, measure progress using boring internal metrics: emergency fund size, fixed cost ratios, debt reduction, and investment consistency. These metrics don't impress anyone else, but they build real security. Your salary becomes powerful when it supports these metrics consistently. Another underappreciated factor is career income quality, not just quantity. Income predictability matters as much as income size. Volatile income requires larger margins to feel stable. Stable income allows smaller margins without anxiety. Many people chase higher income without accounting for volatility costs. Freelancing, commissions, and bonuses feel exciting but require buffers. Without buffers, they increase stress rather than freedom. Understanding this helps choose income paths intentionally. Sometimes a slightly lower salary with stability improves life dramatically. The goal isn't maximizing income at all costs. The goal is maximizing usable income. Usable income is income you can rely on calmly. This often requires sacrificing ego-driven decisions. Ego encourages visible success before structural readiness. Structure should always come first. Another key principle is avoiding permanent decisions based on temporary income spikes. Bonuses, promotions, and side income often feel permanent emotionally, but treating them as permanent creates long-term commitments dangerously. Instead, treat extra income as temporary until proven otherwise. Use it to build buffers, not obligations. This single rule prevents countless financial traps. Housing decisions deserve special caution because they anchor everything else. Housing determines commute, taxes, insurance, and lifestyle expectations. Buying or renting at maximum approval limits destroys flexibility. Staying below maximum approval preserves options during life changes. Banks optimize for repayment probability, not your happiness. Their incentives differ fundamentally from yours. Understanding this reduces blind trust in financial institutions. Your financial system must prioritize survivability first, then efficiency, then growth. Most people invert this order accidentally. They chase growth before survivability is established. That inversion explains chronic stress despite good income. Once survivability is locked in, efficiency improvements compound quickly. Automation helps here when used intentionally. Automatic savings and investing remove emotional friction, but automation without margin creates overdrafts and stress. Systems must match reality, not aspiration. Reality-based systems succeed consistently. A powerful concept is designing your finances for your worst month. Most people design for their best month unconsciously. They assume everything continues smoothly forever. Life disproves that assumption eventually for everyone. Designing for worst months creates resilience quietly. Resilience is invisible until it's desperately needed. Another overlooked area is aligning money decisions with energy levels. Exhausted people spend more on convenience and relief. This isn't weakness, it's biology. Overworking to increase income can paradoxically reduce savings capacity. Burnout increases spending and decreases decision quality. Sustainable income beats maximal income long term. That's why rest and health are financial strategies. Ignoring them creates hidden costs later. Medical expenses, career interruptions, and reduced earning capacity compound. Protecting health protects income potential indirectly. This perspective reframes self-care as financial maintenance. Another mistake is waiting for motivation instead of designing constraints. Motivation fluctuates unpredictably. Constraints create consistency without emotional effort. Limiting access to easy spending protects future decisions. Separating spending accounts from savings accounts helps significantly. Friction works in your favor when applied intentionally. You want friction between impulse and money. You want ease between income and saving. This asymmetry creates progress quietly. Eventually, something surprising happens. Your salary starts feeling larger without increasing. Stress reduces. Decisions feel slower but clearer. Opportunities become visible because panic subsides. This is the real payoff. Financial peace isn't excitement, it's quiet confidence. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It simply removes fear gradually. That's why people underestimate its value. But once experienced, it becomes non-negotiable. At this stage, long-term planning becomes realistic. Retirement stops feeling abstract and threatening. You can model scenarios without anxiety. You can invest consistently without obsession. You can help others without self-endangerment. Your salary finally serves you instead of the opposite. This transformation rarely looks dramatic externally. Internally, it's life-changing. And it's available to ordinary people, not just high earners. The difference is understanding the system and responding intentionally. Income isn't broken. Expectations around income are. Fixing that gap changes everything. If you take nothing else from this video, remember this. More money doesn't fix money problems automatically. Structure fixes money problems. Income amplifies whatever structure already exists. Bad structure amplifies stress. Good structure amplifies freedom. Choose structure first. Then let income do what it was always supposed to do.